Anata Bhakti Sutras. I'm not sure, we stopped on 3 or 4. 3 says that non-dual devotion, remember there's the devotion of a person who's suffering. There's a devotion of a person who wants something. Well, a suffering person wants something, but they don't want objects. They want freedom from pain. So they become devoted to God because it gives them peace of mind, and it gives them a feeling that there's a solution. They know that they can't get rid of their own pain. Sometimes you may have an accident, a mobile accident or something, and that pain may stick with you for a long, long time. It's your prarabdha karma. And you want to get rid of it, and you know that everything, you keep trying all these things and it doesn't go away. So then you start to take refuge in God. That gives you the peace of mind, and you hope, you pray to God to remove that pain for you, to get rid of your karma, your bad karma, unfortunate karma. The thing is, God isn't in the habit of suspending God's laws to please devotees. Unfortunately. I know that's magical thinking in the spiritual world. But if God just suspends God's own laws to please everybody who's in pain, then pain's not going to have any positive effect, is it? Pain is good. Suffering is good. I know, I understand that. It's from suffering that you begin to think and begin to realize yourself, and that inquiry develops. If everything is just cushy and easy, you'll never go anywhere. You'll just be a blob of reasonably happy consciousness, which is not the kiss of death, but you won't feel fulfilled and you won't feel happy. So, and then there's the people who are okay physically and emotionally. It's just that they want stuff. They want God's stuff: security, pleasure, virtue, etc., etc. Pleasure. They want power. They want recognition, fame, etc. Whatever it is they want. They want some worldly thing. They know that the results of their desires and their actions are not up to them, so they propitiate God. They get interested in God, and they ask, "Hey, God, you give me this stuff." And they're like opportunistic business-type people, devotees. Well, they're devotees. We have to give them credit. At least they're including God in their thinking, you see. So that's. And then there's the seeker of knowledge. These are people who, karma yogis, who want to become jnana yogis. Karma yoga makes you into a jnana yogi. Karma yogi is a person who lives in the world, who has desires, who needs to do action, but does action for the purification of the mind in order to get what? Knowledge. So karma yogi is going to become a jnana yogi, a sannyasi. You're going to gain a contemplative temperament from practicing karma yoga. And the reason you want a contemplative temperament is so that you can understand these teachings and get rid of your ignorance. Remember, ignorance is our only problem here. We don't have an experiential problem because we're always experiencing non-dual love constantly. It's our nature to experience non-dual love. But that experience of non-dual love is what? Obscured by attachment or identification with thoughts in our mind, with thoughts and feelings in our mind. So we need to clear away those obstructions, those things that are obstructing our own experience of ourself as love, as full, complete consciousness, awareness, and bliss, you could say. And then, so the third class of beings are the knowledge seekers. They're still in duality, of devotees. They're devoted to the Lord, but they know that the Lord's words are going to set them free. So they meditate and contemplate constantly on the words of the Lord. The words of the Lord are the Scripture. The Scripture is not human words. These words didn't come from human beings. They came to human beings. You might say through human beings, but through human beings is a very tricky thing to say because that's not channeled information. This is not channeled information. This is revealed knowledge. Channeled knowledge is a big problem. It's if you have a pipe, an old pipe, and it's 100 years old, and you put water through it, pure water through that pipe, you're going to get water out, but that water is going to be contaminated, isn't it? This is the whole problem with channeled information. So some of the knowledge gets mixed up with the person, the channeler's ignorance, and you don't get the pure knowledge. But this knowledge is what? Revealed knowledge. It comes to us. It is heard or seen. It's called shruti, heard, or rishihi, seen. In other words, seeing and hearing are symbols of knowledge that comes from outside our body, right? We have senses here, and through our senses, things come on the outside, and we gain knowledge. That means sense organ information doesn't come from us. It comes from the outside. I mean, apparently. Obviously, it does come from us, but assuming that the reversal that we believe is true, then it seems to come from the outside. So that's a symbol for this kind of knowledge, which is revealed knowledge. It comes to us, not through us. It isn't by us. It's for us. So these words are Ishwar's or Bhagawan's words. And by contemplating on the meaning of these words and applying these teachings rigorously and diligently in our own experience, every moment, day-to-day experience, then what? We come to become a non-dual devotee. It's called a jnani or a parabhakta. It's called parabhakti. These are called guna bhakti, bhakti according to your gunas, which we're going to discuss. And this is called parabhakti. It's bhakti, limitless bhakti, in which the devotee knows that to which he or she is devoted, that God is non-separate from me. So there's no sense of separation that this person feels between himself, his or herself, and the self. There's no duality there. And the experience of that is an experience of complete, total, absolute satisfaction and confidence. When you have this understanding, and it's firm, you are totally, completely confident. And you're not interested in gaining anything. There's nothing for you to gain. Your doer entity, the ego part that does things, the doer-enjoyer entity is gone. Because you're full. The doer-enjoyer entity is always not full. It's always incomplete. That's why it always is doing things. It does things to get experiences that will complete it. But that person is gone. Or if it's there, it's like in a dream and like a joke. If that doer entity remains, it remains in a dimension of reality, a dreamlike dimension of reality, and it's known not to be real. It's called mithya, apparently real. It's mithya. So the doer can remain, but the doer is neutralized by the knowledge, I'm awareness. And therefore, even though the doer, the enjoyer entity remains, it is as good as non-existent. Why? Because it's known not to be real. And it has no effect on your love. And this doer-enjoyer doesn't seek to gain any love anymore. Why? Because love is my nature. There's no, any love that this doer, enjoyer person over here on this side of the chart, in other words, this part of yourself, any love that this person would gain, this person already has as the self, and they know it. So there's no point in trying to get something you already have, so you don't want love. You don't care if anybody loves you. And you don't want to give love either, because giving love is not under your control. You are love, so everything you do is Ishvara, or consciousness, loving through you. So you automatically infect everything in your environment with love. There's no effort done at all. Just your very presence, your sanidhi, your presence, infects everything around you. So there's no action involved in either getting love or giving love. So that's what's called non-dual, a non-dual devotee. He talks about that. Now he says, and verse 4, one who obtains non-dual devotion, and it only is obtained through self-knowledge, becomes perfect, immortal, and fully satisfied. We just talked about that. Now, the word, there's a tricky word here, is becomes. Huh? Yeah, because you already are. So that's a tricky word. It doesn't mean that this jiva becomes that. It means that you discover that you are that all along. But it seems like a becoming. It seems like you moved and have become this. It's now you haven't actually become it. You've just left this identity behind and taken up this identity as your primary identity. And what about this person? What are they like? This is if you think you're enlightened. There's a lot of people who hear Vedanta and they think they're enlightened. Right away, they'll hear it, and they'll think they're enlightened. This is a very good text for those people who think they're enlightened. Because once you understand this, you'll see maybe you're not so enlightened as you think. Everybody wants to claim this, you see. When the ego hears this, it's such a wonderful message. And when you get it, the ego gets it, it's such an amazing feeling. It's just, you just feel so incredible. You want to ring the bell and get everybody to come to church. And you think, oh, there's nothing, I don't have to do anything anymore, which is true, but it's also not true. Because we're talking here, the actualization of this knowledge is going to take some time. Unless you're highly qualified when you hear it. If you're highly, highly qualified, then what? It becomes true immediately. But most people who hear Vedanta are partially qualified. It means what? There are still aspects of their relative personality, their reflected awareness, their reflected self, that what? Interferes with the full appreciation and experience of this non-dual love. And so this is a great text because it really, really makes it very clear what a fully self-actualized person is. Not just a self-realized person, but what a fully self-actualized person is. Because once you've realized who you are, there may still be some work to do. And there usually is. And I'm going to post a nice long satsang. I've been going on for several years with a fellow I've been teaching. And it's all about this, because he realized who he was, but then he started having problems, and he couldn't figure out what the problems were. And so we kept communicating, and finally he figured it out, and now he's fully into the self-actualization phase of it. But he thought the self-realization was going to solve all the problems, but it didn't. Because knowledge alone is not necessarily going to solve the problem unless you've purified yourself all the way up to self-realization. Now in the old days, you went through a rigorous training. before you ever got enlightenment. You went to what's called a patashala, then a yagnashala, then a gurukulam, and there was a whole lifestyle and a whole teaching that started when you were very young. So that by the time you were introduced to the Upanishad and the Vedanta, if you heard it, you were already actualized because all your stuff had been worked out. But here we don't have that. Here you're just thrown into your life. You have no idea what anything is. You've just got a lot of desires. You're motivated by a lot of ignorance and a lot of other people's desires. And you go into life and you just start experimenting with things. You may be a little lucky and have a pretty decent life. You may not be so lucky and have a bad life. And then you hear about this and wow, this is oh my God, there's something else. But you haven't done all the work yet. You're very inspired by it, and it should inspire you to do the work, but you still work to be done. So this text particularly explains what a enlightened person is. And it's Bhagavad Gita. Many of the verses here are based upon the Bhagavad Gita, which has about 6 or 8 sections on what an enlightened person is, so that you can check yourself and see. He says, what about these people? Somebody who has non-dual love, they are completely desireless. They grieve not. They're not sad about anything. They don't hate anybody. And they don't rejoice in life's fleeting happinesses. When something good happens, they don't get all excited. When something nice happens, they don't immediately get on the phone and call everybody and tell everybody and make a great big story because something nice happened to them. So what? Big deal. What's up, Facebook, Instagram? Yeah. As soon as people have a nice meal, they take a picture. I saw a guy in a restaurant taking a meal and then tweeting about his meal to somebody out there. And another thing they'll do is I read, it's really, really weird. A person will go to a good party. They heard about it on the internet. They'll rush to the good party, and they'll really be having a good time. But they won't tell their friends till the party's almost over. And then they tweet them. Jesus, this is the most incredible, fantastic party. But it's too late for the person to get there. That's to make that person feel bad. That, hey, I'm having a good time and you're not having a good time. No, it's one of those things that happens on the internet now. It's amazing. My mind was like blown. So these people, if things are bad, so what? If things are good, so what? I am okay. I'm always okay. So, and what I'm experiencing is not that important. What experiences are generated by my karma are not important to me. I'm sitting inside enjoying this experience of bliss, enjoying this experience of fullness and completeness. So there's no good or bad experience that can affect that, can change that, can take that away from me. So I'm indifferent to those things. I don't go up and my mind doesn't go down based upon what I'm experiencing. And these people are no longer jiva-centered and are free from passions for objects. Now that means what? It doesn't mean that these people that a non-dual devotee doesn't have a jiva, an ego. It means that their primary identity is not fixed on their jiva. The jiva is a reflected awareness, okay? The jiva, there's two of you, let's put it this way. There's one of you, but it appears as two. When Maya is operating, awareness seems to split into a what? A subject and an object. That object is what you take to be the subject. That is, it's a reflection awareness. It's in Maya. Okay? It's in the world. This jiva is in the world. And it is a witness. It is awareness, but it's reflected awareness. And since it's in the world, the reflection is modified by what happens to it. So this person changes as a result of what happens in the world. Now that person stays when you know who you are. Understand this. But it's not your primary identity anymore. It's your secondary identity. See, there's been a shift. The knowledge shifts your primary identity, which was reflected awareness. It shifts it back to original consciousness or original awareness, and which in the beginning stage, what? Original consciousness is a secondary identity. It's an object. It's something I'm trying to gain. But when I gain knowledge, the original consciousness becomes my primary identity, and my formerly primary identity becomes my secondary identity. So I have these two identities. I exist as pure, original, non-dual love, consciousness, bliss, existence. I exist as that primarily, but what? That reflects in the form of this person who is an object known to me. So I can relate as a human being. Like you see in the spiritual world, people, it's one of the most irritating, nasty habits that spiritual people have, particularly gurus, of talking about themselves in the third person. They'll say, oh, James is teaching Vedanta now. James just said the Anata Sutras. James is looking at his watch. James is just crossing his leg. Now, what is that supposed to make you do?
Like a royal person.
Yeah, no, like I'm somebody watching James. Well, I am somebody watching James, that's true. But I don't need to tell you that. And I don't need to tell me that either, because it's just knowledge. Understand? So that person remains, but that's me, but I'm not it, okay? I'm the one that knows that James. That James is an object, that reflected person is an object known to me. That's called the reflected awareness, or the jiva, the individual person. See? So that person remains, but the identity of that person is no longer my original or primary identity. It's my secondary identity. And therefore what? I can speak nicely as James. If you come and ask me, hello, who are you? And I say, I'm limited, non-dual, actionless, ordinary, unconcerned, unborn awareness. That's a little precious, isn't it? Isn't that, You can, if you know that, you're not going to ask me who I am. So that means what? You think I'm a person. So then I just say, oh, I'm James. I come from America. I live in this, I'm married to this. I tell you things. I speak as James. Now, when I'm speaking as James, it doesn't mean that I don't know that I'm original awareness. People think like that. So somebody said Ramana Maharshi wasn't enlightened because he spoke like Ramana Maharshi. If he was the self, he wouldn't speak like Ramana Maharshi. But Ramana Maharshi knew that what? He was the self, but nobody else knew he was the self. So what was the point of telling everybody every 5 minutes he's a self? Because they didn't know what that meant anyway. So is it fine for him to say, I'm Ramana Maharshi, and you're asking me a question, and as Ramana Maharshi, I tell you this answer. That's all there is to it. See, I don't have to prove it to you that I know who I am. And I don't have to prove it to myself when I know it. You may have to prove it to yourself until you're sure. That's one practice. It's called taking a stand in awareness. Sometimes you have to tell yourself this over and over and over again without, as you're thinking about it and bringing these teachings to mind, you don't want to try to hypnotize yourself into believing you're this. You can just say it like a parrot. I'm this non-dual ordinary awareness. I'm never this non-dual ordinary awareness. Bark, 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 bark. So, and what about this? What about these people? What about this when you attain this non-dual vision, this non-dual love? When non-dual devotion is attained, or realized, or understood, One is wonderstruck, immersed in silence, and intoxicated with the self. Huh? Wow.
What does the word wonderstruck mean?
Full of wonder. Oh my God, this is amazing. And immediately what you want to do, of course, is run out and ring the bell and get everybody to come to church and tell them how enlightened you are and how unenlightened they are, and you want to start teaching them right away. Huh? No, it's natural. Even if they don't want to be taught, this is a common one. You know, if somebody comes to you and says, "Please teach me who I am," then teach them if you can. But if somebody, even though you know they don't know who they are, and and they don't ask you, don't tell them. All you're going to get is resistance. Person needs to ask you to be taught. This is not like Christianity where you're going to Africa and giving the savages, you know, your religion. This only goes in if what? If a person wants it and they're open to it. So you shouldn't try to teach anybody unless you're asked what it is. But you feel like you want to because it's so wonderful. You want to share it. And it's hard to overcome that tendency, because it's so wonderful. And you have all these superlative words like, this is incredible, this is fantastic, this is unbelievable, this is wonderful, my God, and you're just all inspired. Some of these gurus, a famous guru was this Andrew Cohen. I don't know if you may have heard of him, but he got very inspired when he heard this, and he got very famous, collected thousands of people. And slowly, he didn't do any work because he thought that experience was enough. And slowly, his personality started coming out. He started abusing people, and after 25 years, all the people left him, and he's completely destroyed. He's wandered around trying to figure out how to get to be a guru again, because he never did any work on himself. He just got that experience and got that inspiration, and that inspiration jumped into all kinds of people, and it lifted them up temporarily. And they kept hanging around him, hoping for more of that energy or that shakti or that inspiration. And so there's a very dangerous phase that happens, and the text here is saying, you know, take it easy here. Don't get too excited here. Don't run out here, ring the bell and try to get everybody to come to church. Just keep quietly living your simple life, doing your work very simply. And if anyone needs to know, they'll come and ask you. And if they don't, just enjoy the bliss of your own self. Enjoy that feeling. And just appreciate that feeling. When you're really absorbed in yourself, you become incredibly attractive. You don't have to attract anybody. If you're trying to attract anybody with your words and your actions, then you haven't understood. If you're really attractive to yourself, you become automatically attractive to everybody else. People can feel that you love yourself. And they say, just a minute, this person is completely natural. He's completely self-confident and loves his or herself completely. And then you become very attractive. Then you ask questions, and then that person can teach you. So it says here, and what do? They are immersed in silence. That silence means what? This feeling of fullness and completeness and bliss that's going on all the time. You can feel it in these teachings. When you have a good teaching and the mind just gets totally still and nobody thinks anything or says anything, and I say, ask for some questions, and nobody has any questions. Why not? Because they're sitting in silence, immersed in silence. They're enjoying the bliss of themselves. They don't want to talk. Everything's fine. The teaching does that. It puts you to that condition. It removes your ignorance temporarily. Unfortunately, we can't sit in the classroom all the time and listen to the teaching. We have our lives to live. Right? I was fortunate. I was involved in that energy bubble for 2 years every day from 4 in the morning till 12 at night. Was never out of it. So it was an incredible purification, and the knowledge just became very firm very quickly. But you're just these people they stay in themselves. They're happy in themselves. Is the idea here. There's no objects are necessary. And what is this experience of non-dual devotion? This brought on by the knowledge. This is an experience that's a result of knowledge. You know, most people want experiences to get knowledge. That's how we generally function here. We have all these experiences, and then through these experiences we get knowledge. But here, what? The experience of non-duality is the result of the knowledge that I'm non-dual. In other words, the experience is an effect. It's not the cause of the knowledge. This is why the experiential people tried to get samadhi. They try to get in these high states, and then they think, well, I'm going to gain knowledge of the state. But it doesn't work that way. You get rid of the ignorance, and then you see that state, what is natural, it's going on all the time. So all that happens with knowledge is knowledge just removes ignorance. It doesn't affect who you are at all. It just takes away your ignorance. And that what makes you appreciate the love, the fullness, the completeness that you are. So, and what about this experience? It doesn't generate desires. And what if you have this non-dual knowledge, this non-dual experience, then there's another sign. Okay, there's telling you what the signs are. And what is the sign? You're happy to get rid of things. In fact, you're eager to get rid of things. Not just physical things. Relationships, everything. You are happy, you throw away everything. So good, huh? If you meet one of these Mahatmas, you'll be surprised. We don't even know what Mahatmas are. These are called Mahatmas or non-dual bhaktas. They don't have anything. As soon as something comes, they give it away. I was with this great Mahatma, my second teacher, Vedanta, and one day we were sitting there in a courtyard having satsang. We were reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a Bible of the Bhaktas. He was a Bhakti yogin, but he was a jnani. And he was teaching the Srimad Bhagavatam. It was a lovely, lovely situation, South India, beautiful. And this car drove up the driveway, the ashram. Very beautiful car, expensive car. And the driver got out. He was all dressed in white, really nice. And he opened the door, and a gentleman who was obviously somebody stepped out, beautifully dressed man. And he stood there, and the driver went back to the trunk, and he opened the trunk of the car. And he reached in the trunk, and he brought out a big brass tray. The tray was about this big. And in it was a stack of 100 rupee notes. There must have been huge, it was a huge pile of notes with mangoes and flowers all around and incense sticking into the mangoes and burning. And he brings this up to the Guru. And the Guru just looks at it, and then he points to one of the devotees, and then they gave it to the devotee. And he wasn't even interested in touching that or anything. Oh, give it to her, she'll take care of it, so what? His eyes didn't change, his feeling, nothing changed, nothing at all. Huh? Well, you know, if you got a great huge stack of money like that, you're going to start getting emotional. You're excited. He didn't thank the fellow. He didn't say thank you very much or anything like that. He just looked at it and pointed, and that was it. Kept right on teaching. Huh? So what? So what? It has nothing to do with me. Huh? It doesn't change my feeling at all of who I am. It doesn't change my feeling at all about myself. So these people, give it away. Get rid of it. It's just one more thought, one more object. I don't need it. So their minds are clear. They don't waste their time with a lot of complicated thinking. They're just, as soon as a thought comes up, they look at it and let it go. They look at it, just release it. Or there's some emotion there that's coming from their unconscious mind. They don't try to pick through it. Oh my God, there must be something wrong with my enlightenment. You see, I'm feeling a little depressed this morning. Oh my God, oh that's awful. What should I do? Da-di-da, my mother this, my father that. Oh, I got to call my astrologer, call my shrink. Well, you just look at it and get out of here. I haven't time for that. Don't be bothering me with this kind of feelings, these kind of thoughts. It's a renunciation. So if you have that spirit of renunciation, it's a sign that you are, you have a sense of your own completeness and fullness, right? And those people who know that they're full and complete, they're just not, they just give everything away. They renounce everything. Yes?
What I was wondering is, of all the stories that you have told, all the enlightened karmas are always in men bodies, not so much women. Why is that?
Oh,
Because of hormonal.
no, it's true. I can tell you stories about women. No, there's plenty of literature. It's just that most of my experiences with men. That was all. Particularly you go to India, you don't associate with women. It's like in a Muslim country, you don't hang out and associate with women. If you're in Indian culture, the men stick to men and the women stick together. That they don't want to mix the sexes all up because it causes all kinds of problems. So I just had the karma of being a man, and my guru was a man, and most of the devotees were men, although there were many women that were there also, but and probably more men are Mahatmas than women. Women tend to be more attached to things, and more emotional, more difficult for them. But there are great. There's history of great saints in India, and here in the West, I know a few women who are also non-dual bhaktas, non-dual devotees, definitely. It's really, you're really not a man or a woman at this point, you see. The idea of gender is already gone. You don't think of yourself as being a man or being a woman. See, the self obviously has no gender. So, and what is this renunciation? It talks about what it is. It says, if you thought, well, it doesn't just mean letting go of objects or situation. It means it's the consecration of worldly and spiritual duties to the Lord. Now, what does that mean? That's karma yoga. Huh? It means they're naturally karma yogis. Huh? And they do everything. They know that what? The impulse to act comes from Ishvara. It doesn't come from the self. And they know that the actions and the thoughts come from Ishvara. And they know that the results of the actions come from Ishvara. So they what? They acknowledge that all of the actions and the thoughts and the feelings belong to Ishvara. They don't belong to themselves. They don't belong to me. They don't belong to the jiva, and they don't belong to the self. They belong to Ishvara. This is the hardest concept to understand. See, but these people, that's why they can renounce it, because it isn't mine. Right. Nothing belongs to you. Nothing is yours. You say, my child or my body? Well, how does this get to be your body? Tell me how this gets to be your body. This is just meat. This is just food. Everything here in this body, is what? Food. Did you grow the food? Huh? Did you kill the food? Did you cook the food? Are you just digesting the food? Did you excrete the food? No. Even the eating of the food you didn't do, but it feels like your body did it. Automatically. So none of this belongs to you. This body is no different from a chair. I don't say this is my chair. How does this get to be my chair? Because I'm sitting in it, it's my chair? But when I'm not sitting in it, does that mean what? Nobody else can sit in it because it's James's chair? No, it's just a chair. Because I'm sitting in this piece of meat, does it mean this is my piece of meat? No, it doesn't. It's not my piece of meat. This is a sausage, a waste tube. It's a big wurst, big sausage. How does it get to be me? Huh? Understand. Your feelings, it's the same true with your body. Everything else that's true of your body is for every other thing that you say is yours. So these people know, hey, there's nothing belongs to me. Oh yeah. If you say this is mine, then what? Then you don't have non-dual knowledge. Then you're not free. Because you're owning something that belongs to Ishvara, to God. Your mind belongs to Ishvara. Your body belongs to Ishvara. Your feelings belong to Ishvara. They don't belong to you. So that's what these people know. Can you see the freedom? All you have to do is analyze any object. And any object that you analyze, subtle or gross object that you analyze, that you look at dispassionately and carefully, you can see it doesn't belong to you. Every single object reverts back or reduces down to Ishvara, Maya, to the Creator. Everything. It's the cause of all the objects. Understand? God is the existence, is the cause of all the objects. All the objects are born out of existence. They don't belong to existence. You could say they belong to existence, but they don't actually belong to existence. They belong to the power in existence that creates objects. But that power in me that creates objects is not me. In other words, I'm not it. Let's put it that way. It is me, but I'm not it. It's like this. Say I'm an artist, and I can make a sculpture, a pot. I can create a pot. Now that power to create a pot is a power in me, isn't it? But there's a lot more to me. I can do other things besides create a pot, can't I? I can love my kids. I can do a million things. That's just one small power in me to create. So the creative power in you, the Ishvara power in you, is just a tiny little speck in you. It's just a power that's generating objects. You're much, much bigger than that. In fact, it says in the Upanishad that this power of Maya, the power that creates the whole universe, is a tiny little fly speck on the face of the infinite. It's just a tiny little pip. See? So none of this stuff belongs to me. And all these experiences and so forth are generated by what? By Ishvara. So, I don't, how can I claim they're mine? Why can I say this is my life? They don't, a jnani doesn't even feel like this is my life. As a person, he or she feels what? That he or she is being lived by Ishvara. That God is living me. I'm not living, myself. God is living me. There's a power that has brought me here and is pushing me through this karma stream and will take me out of here. It isn't me. And the love, you can't help but love because Ishvara is loving through me. So what do I own? What belongs to me? Nothing. That's the idea. And what is this renunciation? He's talking about a little more. It's an absolutely essential sign of enlightenment, of freedom. Renunciation is one-pointed devotion to Ishvara and complete indifference to objects. When devotion is one-pointed, the devotee only seeks security in the self. Now here he's talking about somebody who's about to realize the self, or is trying to realize the self. This means what? You can cultivate this non-dual devotion. When devotion is one-pointed, the security that you seek in objects, you only seek in yourself. He's talking here about the jiññāsu or the knowledge bhakta. That's those of us. You should be, if you want freedom, then you should only seek security in yourself, not in any situation in the world. And there's a beautiful, and of course that's going to cause a problem. Well, who's going to take care of my stuff? Right? If I'm only seeking security in myself, then who's going to take care of, who's going to pay the rent? Who's going to pay the taxes? Who's going to get the money? Who's going to You don't have to get, what's the answer? Ishvara. Ishvara takes care of that. It says in there, if you seek security only in me, I take care of your getting and your keeping. Means whatever you need, I will get for you, and whatever you need to retain, I will keep for you. And whatever you don't need, I will take away from you. So you don't have to bother with that stuff. You have to think about it. It'll be automatically taken care of. Bhagavad Gita is clear. Devotees with one-pointed devotion, what do? Perform only worldly and religious duties that are in harmony with Dharma. They don't break the rules. Okay? You got these people claiming they're non-dualists? You know the crazy wisdom gurus? Are anybody familiar with the crazy wisdom gurus? That's good. I'm glad to hear that, actually. No, really, it's a good thing because it means that the spiritual world has moved on a little bit and grown up a little bit. But starting in the 70s and 80s and 90s, you had all these supposedly enlightened people who were breaking all the rules. They were lying and cheating and stealing and injuring people. And they were saying, I'm doing that. This is crazy wisdom. I'm showing you that when you're enlightened, you're beyond all the rules. So I'm breaking the rules to show you that you don't need to follow the rules when you're enlightened. So that's a good reason to be enlightened, is that there's no rules for you. And so when I'm taking your money, it's not that I want your money, because I don't need your money. It's good for you not to have that money so you won't spend it on useless things. When I'm getting in bed with your wife, it's not because I have sex desires at all. It's because I'm trying to break your attachment to your wife. It's called, That's called crazy wisdom. The biggest one was Chogyam Trungpa, and then Adida. Osho, yeah, Osho, another one. Another one. Osho, yeah, he was even bigger. All those, there's a whole raft of them. There's a bunch of kind of small potatoes ones now that they get by. Because people like to hear that. They like to hear that, oh, you're beyond Dharma. You're beyond that Dharma. You can do anything. It's like Donald Trump, you know. You're so rich you can do anything. Now if you're president, you can really do everything. He wants, Huh? Yeah. No, hey, it says here, it says, and these people perform only worldly and religious duties that are in harmony with Dharma. What is Dharma? Dharma is all the Dharma. There's several. Dharma is a very nuanced concept, but Dharma means all the rules that that cause this. We said this is a lawful universe. It's a universe of moral and psychological and physical laws or rules, and these people don't break those rules. Okay? They understand what those rules are, and their lives are in harmony with those rules. And why won't they break them? Why won't these people break the rules? Because they have nothing to gain by breaking the rules. Yes?
Why is there standing they should follow Dharma?
What?
Why is there standing they should?
They should follow Dharma because there's this tendency when you're free to think that you're free of Dharma. And, well, you are free of Dharma and you can break the rules, but what? It's not good for other people, and other people are you too. You're giving a bad example. We're going to see that later on. You got a duty here to the world. This is just not about me. I've got a duty to the world. When I gain enlightenment, if I go breaking the rules, what am I going to do? I'm going to give enlightenment a bad name, aren't I? And people won't seek enlightenment. Why do you think so? Why do you think we're such a small group of people in the society? Because of all these people like Osho and Adida and all those people who broke the rules so much all the time, doing all these really, really ugly, nasty things. And this whole society says, well, you see, this is what these spiritual people are. They don't follow the rules. What good is that? What good is a spirituality if they can't even follow the rules and play by the rules that everybody else plays by? They think they're special. They think and so they call us elitists and so forth and so on. So you have a duty, you know, your dharma, your duty to the world doesn't stop when you realize who you are. You still have a duty to behave according to dharma. And if you break dharma, it means what? Obviously you're not complete, are you? If you're breaking the rules, it means what? You think you have something to gain by breaking the rules. But if I know who I have nothing to gain by following the rules, and I have nothing to gain by breaking the rules. So I might as well follow the rules, what is good for everybody else, and it's fine for my jiva too, because my jiva has a lot less agitation when I follow the rules. The Andrew Cohen thing is a really good example of this, because he broke the number one spiritual rule from the day he got enlightened. He got worse and worse and worse, and that was what? Non-injury. The number one law, is spiritual law in the universe, is don't injure. Injure, hurt. Don't hurt other people. Ahimsa, it's called. It's called ahimsa. Don't injure people. That rule is number one. Why? Because reality is non-dual. You don't lie to me or injure me or cheat me. Why? Because you don't want me to lie or cheat or injure you, do you? You expect me not to lie and cheat. There's a mutual expectation. Why? Because we're the same. I don't want to be lied to and cheated to, and you don't want to be lied to and cheated to. That's called a universal dharma. Injury. Because everybody's yourself. You'll only injure what? Somebody else. You won't injure yourself consciously. Why? Because everybody is yourself. That's the reason they have that rule. That's the reason Ishvara, God, made that rule of non-injury. It shouldn't be a rule. Yeah, it should be normal. You shouldn't have to think about it. In fact, for people who are sensitive and whose minds are clean and pure, it's built in. They don't injure other people. But for people whose minds are full of passion and lust and desire, those people, they are always injuring either themselves and other people. So for them, you've got to teach them the rules. And if they keep violating the rules, then the rules will come back and hit them. Their karma will come back. Like this guy. He's 27 years, he's a big famous guru, and now what? He's got nothing. He's wandering around the world trying to talk to people to get them to come back to be his disciples again. After he's injured them, he apologizes and then he tries to get them back. Huh? What, huh? This is an enlightened person. If he's enlightened, he should, he wouldn't have injured them in the first place. He wouldn't have attacked them in the first place and insulted them and treated them like shit. It was their fault too, because those people had no self-esteem. You know, if anybody even looks at me funny, I let them serve notice right at the beginning. You need to treat me with love and respect, or I have nothing to do with you. I walk away. But when you think you want something from somebody, and you think it's a wonderful thing, then you're ready to put up with a lot of abuse. If that person is abusive, you think it's good for you, but it's not good for you. So those devotees, they share a responsibility for that also. But this is what he's pointing out here, is that these people only perform religious duties that are in harmony with Dharma, and that doesn't mean they what? Abuse other people. And so what do you do? And he says, he repeats this over and over and over again. Firmly commit yourself to maintaining an ethical code even after your devotion to Ishvara, God, is firm. Damn this thing. Got to get a better. Oops. Sorry. The Ramji show is falling apart here. Huh?
Ishvara.
Ishvara. It's all Ishvara. Ishvara's tape, he's not sticky. Ishvara's not sticky today. Need a new Ishvara. So, okay, and if you don't follow the rules, if you're not an ethical and moral person, then what's going to happen? 13, it's going to tell you, this is what's going to happen. Because there is a danger of a fall. I put in there, as long as the notion of doership is present. If you are breaking the rules, or following the rules, there's a notion of doership, isn't there? You think you're a doer. So what? Then you will come down. Ishvara will correct you, okay? You can get away with it for a while. Everybody's waiting for Donald Trump to fall. Huh? And everybody's waiting. They say, this guy is so arrogant, he is so violent, he is so ugly, he is so mean and nasty, huh? He's a piece of work, and everybody's waiting for him to come down. And now the forces are starting to gather, huh? Slowly Ishvara, because he's a big stage. So there's millions of people involved now. And little by little Ishvara is all coming together. You watch, he will get whacked. Huh? Because he's so big. He thinks he's so big. He thinks he's bigger than Ishvara. He wants to be like God. And there's a part of you that wants to be big here, wants to be Ishvara. Don't try. Huh? As soon as you stick your head up a little bit, Ishvara is a jealous God. That's what the meaning in the Bible is. They say God is a jealous God. It doesn't mean he's jealous like you are. It means what? It means there's only Ishvara. So when you start claiming the status of Ishvara, what's Ishvara going to do? Boom! wipe you out. There's a beautiful verse in Handel's Messiah. It's really a beautiful verse. They're singing about the Lord, about Ishvara. And it says, and he, meaning Ishvara, makes the rough places plain. So, so like you have a mountain, and what does Ishvara do? Comes and shaves the mountain off and makes a valley, makes everything plain, equal. That's what Ishvara does. It just bulldozes everything flat. That's what non-duality means. It's flat. There's nothing can stick out. Reality is non-dual. It's like this. There's no separation, so there's no room for anything to stick out. And if you're thinking in your mind, you start sticking out and thinking you're special, look out. There is a danger of a fall. You will fall down, no doubt about that. It may take time, but it will happen. Your karma will slowly fructify. All of these actions will come back to you, and boom, you'll find yourself, like this poor guru. He's a big guru. He's all rich and famous and all this sort of thing. And now what? He's wandering around begging people to what? Take him back and let him be a big guru again. Nobody's buying it. Nobody said, they figured that. Ishvara said, no, that's not good. In fact, you'd be surprised how many of the people are coming to Vedanta now. That whole experience with him prepared them to hear a real teaching, to hear really good teaching, a teaching that's suitable for them. So there's a lot of those people that are practicing inquiry now. And it's really quite... Ishvara said, okay, you suffered enough, now you learned your lesson, here's a proper teaching for you. He had no teaching. His teaching was, I'm enlightened and you're not. That's the teaching. Well, that's not a teaching, okay? So, 14. For as long as the body lasts, one should minimally engage in worldly activities and only perform those actions necessary to sustain the body. That means what? You don't get ambitious. Okay? That's the first thing you do when you think you got something wonderful. You get ambitious. You want to get on the internet. And you used to have a website. You tell everybody, the great Lord of Yoga. And you put on these funny clothes, and you sit there, and you like look this funny look, and you start talking slow, and you have your teaching, and you talk, You just want to become a big cheese. You want to gain now from your enlightenment what you couldn't get in the world. You were such a loser in the world, you couldn't make it there. The competition was too hard. But once you got your enlightenment, then I can be a big shot here in the spiritual world. I can get some money, I can have a role. Osho had to have 93 Rolls Royces. And he wasn't happy with the 93. He wanted 365. He wanted, So he never actually achieved his goal. But he didn't want to ride in the same Rolls Royce every day. So he wanted a fresh new Rolls Royce every day. Look at the ambition. See the ambition in this person. Trying to get more devotees, trying to get more of everything, more. Try to be bigger all the time. Trying to collect and collect and collect. It says no, it says, hey, just keep reducing. Keep trying to make your life simpler. Get rid of more shit. The more stuff you have, the more stuff you got to worry about. If you think it's yours, If you understand it's Ishvara, you can have the whole world is yours then. Because Ishvara depends upon you. Without what? Without consciousness, Ishvara can't create. So basically, I've got everything already. So why would I want to get anything more? What can I gain by that? That's the idea here. There are various definitions of the characteristics of devotion due to different points of view. And then he's going to list several of these. And he's going to say that in verse 20 that they're all are correct. So this is not one is better than the other. They're just different expressions of this non-dual devotion. And what are they? Sage Vyasadeva says, it is, there should be an is there, it is expressed and enjoyed by the performance of ritual worship and so forth. This is a ritual worship I do, teaching Vedanta. We call it Jnana Yajna. It means a ritual of sacrificing knowledge. I offer or sacrifice or contribute my knowledge to you. It's a ritual. I do it regularly. It's just something I do. It's a sign of, now I don't ask you for money. I'm happy if you can give me some money. It's very nice. Money is useful. But I don't ask you for anything. It's a ritual. It's a service. You want to know something? I know something. I can maybe give you something that I know. I know how to teach the scripture. I've realized the truth of this, so my words have a certain kind of authority and power that will inspire you and to seek the truth. So this is my little ritual that I do regularly as an expression of my love for you. That's all. A spiritual discussion, it's the same thing. That's what we're doing. Satsang is called, satsang means communicating on the topic of sat. Sat means the self, or consciousness, or love. So having these discussions, having these teachings is satsanga. Shandilya said, a lot of people in the modern spiritual world, the Muji people particularly, I like Muji. I have no criticisms about Muji. He's a good guy. He's actually a very good guy. But most of those people there they're there for the Sangha, not for the Sat. There's a lot of talk about Sat, but there's precious little Sat there. There's a lot of Sangha there. It's all about experience and the Shakti and the loving and the hugging and the group. It's a group of people who have spiritual vasanas, and they like being together, and they like communicating with each other. And that, it's not the kiss of death, it's fine. But the emphasis, but the Sat, in other words, the truth aspect is a little light there. It's a Vedanta light, you could say. So, but what we're into is like pure Vedanta. We're into pure Sat. And then at the same time, if there's any kind of nice feelings that we get, and we develop a few relationships and friendships based upon the truth, that's great. But we're not here to be liked or to be part of a group. And in fact, in Vedanta, the satsangs the people involved in Vedanta are very different. I know from the inside, because I know many people, I know thousands of people, and I know what their lives are like and what they think like and where they come from and everything. And they're a mixed bag. It's really interesting. They're not all one type. They're unique individuals, most of them. And they're not a particular type, although all of them are seeking knowledge. They have different lives and different talents and abilities and so forth and so on, different ages and cultures and so forth. They're very interesting, unique people. Whereas if you go to most of these satsangs, they're cliquey little groups, and they all have their own special language, and they all kind of look alike, they all start dressing alike, because they want to be, they feel comfortable with people that are like them. And the only thing that really connects us here is love of the truth. It's not, we don't love each other for what we do. Everybody has different jobs and comes from different places and different karma, and so different characteristics. So where you see this satsang, that's an expression. Where you're interested in satsang, that's an expression of devotion, right? And what? And these people are always delighted, always happy. They're perpetual delight in the self. They take all their joy and their happiness from the self. They can't say they're happy because of this or that. They're happy because of who they are. So that's the side. And what is it? An artist says devotion is expressed by sanctifying all activities. Sanctifying all activities is karma yoga. It's giving what? Offering all of your actions to Ishvara. That takes them off the hook. See, that puts me off the hook. If I think this is my action, then I have to worry about the results, don't I? But if I give all my actions to Ishvara, then Ishvara has to worry about the result. That's Ishvara's job, is to facilitate the karma of the jivas. That's its job. So Ishvara's got to worry about hooking doing those actions and sending back the results. I don't have to worry about that. So I immediately, when I do an action, I just say, okay, Ishvara, this is for you. You figure out the karma here. I can't be bothered. I mean, if I'm worried about whether you're getting enlightened or not, I'm going to be a neurotic wreck, aren't I? I've got to say, so what, did they get enlightened? Well, I don't know. I think they got enlightened, but geez, I don't know. Maybe I didn't teach you well enough. That's why you didn't get it. It must be my problem. I guess I might not be a good teacher. Maybe I should quit teaching. I can't really, because you're not getting it. I can't help it if you get it or not. If you get it, it's Ishvara's grace. If you don't get it, it's Ishvara's grace. It's not up to me. All I can do is just tell you. I can do my best, do my job, my best I can, and leave that up to Ishvara. That's consecrating. So, if you tell me, oh, that's a rotten satsang, I say, well, sorry, too bad. If you say that's a wonderful satsang, I say, well, give Ishvara, that's Ishvara. Thank Ishvara, don't thank me. My guru used to get so angry. He was a great teacher, and he taught thousands. I mean, one night there were 10,000 people came, and everybody was just in pin drop silence for 2 hours as he taught. He was an amazing guy. And then it was a big crowd. It was outside in Bombay. It was out near the Churchgate Station, what they call a maiden or an oval. It's a big place where they used to play cricket and things there. And everybody just burst out clapping. It was such an amazing, inspiring thing. And he just got furious. He said, you what? You think I'm an entertainer? You think I want applause here? You think, What do you think this is about? He says, I don't get any credit for this. I said, I'm just doing my job. You don't applaud me because I go and make idlis for you or big puris for you. That's my job. I just do that. Yeah, that's all Ishvara's. You keep your mouth shut. Give it to Ishvara. Forget it. I don't want it. You tell everybody, shouting, top of his voice, shouting at them. No, it's not for me. I don't take that. I don't accept that. That's Ishvara's. So, and what about you give these people, what do? They just give it all to Ishvara and forget it, because there's nothing. They don't want any credit. We don't want credit for this. How could I take credit for this beautiful thing? How could I take credit for this? How could I take credit for this? I didn't create this. I copied this. I'm a thief, man. I just read the scripture more carefully and I made the chart, sort of. But did I figure this out? I didn't figure this out. You say, oh, Ram, he's so brilliant. You see, it's not brilliant. I'm not brilliant. I just plagiarized it. I stole it. And I wrote it down so it's helpful to you. That's all. I don't get any credit. We don't want credit. Ishvara gets all the credit here. So he said, and what? And what about this? Oh, this is a nice one. And this is how you tell if you have this kind of bhakti, okay? This kind of love. By intense anguish on forgetting who you are, forgetting Ishvara. They say like a fish out of water. You know how a fish is, You pull a fish out, and they're trying to drink water, but they're only drinking air. It's real painful, and they can't stop gasping for water. So when you forget who you are, what do you feel like? These devotees feel awful. Lost, depressed, awful. Oh my God. oh my God, and immediately you go back to who you are. That's a sign. Because your jiva can forget. Understand? Your jiva can forget. And when your jiva, oh my God, I can't stand it. Even that part of me, that jiva part of me forgets that. The jiva just is so much anguish. Immediately the thought of Ishvara comes back and the whole problem is gone, solved. So this is a sign how you need to feel. You will feel. It says, and this non-dual devotion is correctly described in each of these ways.